Have you ever thought you were being clever, getting something for free, cutting corners, taking a little extra, and then suddenly, things in your life started going wrong? Maybe your health declined, your relationships became strained, or your finances unexpectedly dried up. Could it be coincidence, or is there something deeper at play? Welcome back to our channel. Today, we're exposing one of the most overlooked spiritual traps in modern life, the illusion of smartness through petty greed. Those seemingly harmless acts, lying about your age to get a discount, claiming benefits you don't qualify for, taking home office supplies, or overloading your plate at a buffet may seem small, but spiritually, energetically, karmic allies they are not. Because every small act of greed is a seed, and every seed has consequences. You may think you're winning in the moment, but behind the scenes, your fate is recalibrating, or blessings are being reduced, or spiritual bank account is leaking. What you thought was gain is actually silent loss. Let's begin with a story. Woman in her early 50s once boasted that he had figured out a trick to retire early. He falsified her age on official documents, reducing her years of required service, allowing her to claim retirement benefits 5 years earlier than he should have. He saw herself as clever, beating the system. For a while, everything seemed fine. He traveled, enjoyed free time, even inspired envy in her peers. But then, things started to unravel. Her health deteriorated rapidly. Her daughter, once a bright student, began to struggle with depression. Her husband's business collapsed, one after another. Challenges arose, and no amount of effort seemed to reverse them. When he sought spiritual guidance, a monk told her, when you take what isn't truly yours, something that is truly yours will be taken, not as punishment, but as balance. This is the law of cause and effect, the law of karma, and it doesn't care how small or justified the action seemed. Universe doesn't calculate based on intentions, it operates based on vibration. Greed is not just about stealing large sums or betraying trust. It begins with the small, seemingly innocent shortcuts. Greed is a mindset, the subtle belief that I need to get more, even if it's not right. And that mindset emits a frequency. That frequency attracts consequences. Think of it like this: your blessings, your health, opportunities, relationships, peace, or all forms of spiritual capital. Every dishonest gain, no matter how small, acts like a silent trance, and you trade long-term blessings for short-term wins. Other men, desperate for extra income, applied for a disability certificate for his son, exaggerating symptoms to get monthly assistance. He told himself it was harmless, but over the years, his son began to develop genuine psychological issues. Label became a reality. The karma return, it not as punishment, but as a mirror. You see, what we claim falsely, we eventually embody. If you pretend to be sick for gain, your body begins to carry that imprint. If you claim poverty to exploit a system, your energy begins to attract scarcity. It's not about superstition, it's about resonance. And this is not limited to government fraud or big lies. It includes taking extra condiments from restaurants because they're free anyway, watching pirated content and calling it no big deal, using someone else's subscription and justifying it as sharing, skipping the bus fare just once because everyone does it, buying and returning worn clothing under the pretense of trying it out. Each of these might seem trivial, but they speak volumes to the universe, a signal time willing to take what is not mine, and so the universe replies, then I will withhold what could have been yours. This karmic equation isn't moralistic, it's mechanical. When you take shortcuts, the long road gets longer. Let's now turn to the deeper spiritual layer. In Buddhist wisdom, every act has a corresponding energy. It's rooted in compassion, truth, and generosity generate merit, spiritual credit that brings blessings. It's rooted in greed, deceit, or harm generate demerit, energetic debt that must be repaid. The ancients understood this deeply. In Taoist thought, fortune and misfortune are not random. They are outcomes of inner alignment. Person who maintains integrity, even in obscurity, builds an invisible wall of protection. Person who acts cleverly to get ahead builds an invisible hole in their foundation. And in Chinese spiritual tradition, there's a saying, if you take 1 penny on righteous lie, you will lose $10 from your destiny. That's how severe the balance is. Let's pause and reflect. Have you ever gotten something you didn't earn? Did it really bring lasting joy? Or did it leave a subtle heaviness as a shadow you couldn't quite explain? Maybe it's time to clean the slate. Not out of fear, but out of clarity. Because true luck isn't about getting more, it's about being more, or aligned, or honest, or open. When your actions match your higher self, the universe supports you in ways you can't imagine. Let's talk about transformation. One man ran a small business and used to manipulate invoices, overcharging clients while cutting corners. For years, this worked. He bought a house, a car, even sponsored local events. But over time, his peace vanished. He began to fear being exposed. Clients left, lawsuits came. One day, overwhelmed and alone, he sat in a temple and wept. The elderly monk approached and said, "You have paid for what you took. Now begin again." That phrase became his turning point. He refunded clients. He corrected his practices. He donated anonymously. Within 2 years, his reputation returned. But more than that, he slept peacefully. And he said, "For the first time, I feel truly wealthy." You see, karmic repair is possible, but it starts with honesty. So, what can you do to reverse the damage of petty greed? First, stop taking what isn't freely given, even if it's small, even if no one sees. Second, return what you can. If you've gained through deceit, find a way to balance it through donation, service, or silent repentance. Third, shift your mindset from "what can I get" to "what can I give?" Because giving is the antidote to greed, and generosity is the gateway to abundance. You may not see instant results, but in time, you will notice a shift. The heaviness will lift. The synchronicities will return. Opportunities will knock without force. Peace will become your natural state. Let's be clear, choosing integrity in a world of shortcuts is radical. Makes you stand out, but it also makes you connected to the right people, the right energies, the right destiny. Won't be clever, be true. Because what you think you gain through manipulation, you eventually pay for in ways far greater than you expect. And what you give with purity, you receive multiplied. This is not about guilt, it's about awakening. So look at your life, the little habits, the quiet corners, the unnoticed shadows. Ask yourself, am I being honest with life? Because life is always honest with you. Let's now enter the deeper, subtler layers of how greed operates, not just in our actions, but in our thoughts and intentions. Because spiritual practice doesn't begin when you sit on a cushion. It begins the moment you observe yourself honestly. Imagine walking into a store and noticing an item that has been mistakenly priced lower than its value. No one is watching. The cashier doesn't notice. You pay the lesser price and walk away thinking, "I got lucky." But did you? In that moment, something inside you tightened. Small compromise was made. Part of your integrity was sold, not for survival, but for advantage. And over time, those compromises stack, not just as bad karma, but as heaviness in the soul. When we act from greed, and no matter how subtle, we chip away at our spiritual clarity. We begin to justify what we once would have questioned, and as the line of right and wrong blurs, so does our peace. I think of the opposite scenario. You see the same mistake, but you point it out. You say, "This seems underpriced," and the cashier thanks you. Maybe you pay more. Maybe you don't get the discount, but something magical happens. You walk out feeling light, just burdened. That feeling is grace. That feeling is spiritual power. Because every time you choose integrity over advantage, you deposit energy into your spiritual account. This is what the ancient sages called invisible merit. You won't see it right away, but over time, it protects you, opens doors, brings people into your life who are trustworthy, and most importantly, it keeps your inner world clean. Let's take another case. Young woman worked in an office and often used company resources for personal benefits, printing her documents, taking extra supplies, browsing personal websites, storing work hours. He saw it as harmless. "They pay me too little anyway," he said. But what he didn't notice was the slow decay in her motivation. Her passion dried up. Emotion slipped through her fingers. Her relationships at work turned cold. When she began to reflect and adjust her habits, doing personal work outside of company time, using resources appropriately, giving full attention during hours paid, he didn't just gain respect, her inner fire returned. People started seeking her advice. He was offered a leadership role, not because he demanded it, but because her energy shifted from consumption to contribution. This is the hidden truth. The universe rewards you based on who you are when no one's watching. When you choose honesty, generosity, and self-restraint without a pull, you signal that you are ready for real blessings. Let's explore now how greed links to spiritual poverty. Greed is rooted in the belief that there isn't enough, that if you don't grab what you can, you'll miss out. It's the mentality of lack. Ironically, it attracts more lack. Imagine your consciousness as a bowl. Greed punches holes in the bowl. No matter how much you pour in, it leaks out. Generosity seals the bowl. Gratitude expands it. Honesty strengthens it. When you stop chasing crumbs, the feast finds you. But you have to stop settling for stolen crumbs and trust the banquet your soul deserves. Here's another real story. Man ran a repair business and often added fake charges to his invoices. For years, this brought in steady income, but he noticed his home life was unstable. Arguments with his wife. His child developed asthma. One day, during a visit to a monastery, a monk told him, "The air you breathe carries the weight of your actions." At night, he whacked not from fear, but from realization. He returned, adjusted his pricing, wrote letters of apology, offered discounts, Isna stick first, but 6 months later, referrals doubled, his child's health improved, energy in his home changed. He said, I used to believe in profit, now I believe in truth, and truth always profits in the end. This is the unseen economy of the soul. You can lose money and still be rich in virtue. You can be smart and still lose everything. You can be generous and still lack nothing. Because real wealth isn't stored in banks, it's stored in your field, your presence, your merit. So, what can we do today to begin healing from the damage of small greed? Begin with forgiveness. Forgive yourself. Greed is human, but honesty is divine. He commends, return what was not rightfully earned. Few cannot return it directly. Pay it forward through donation, service, silent blessings. Practice karmic fasting. For 1 week, refrain from taking anything you haven't earned. What time, what praise, what things. Observe how this changes your energy. Replace cleverness with wisdom. Cleverness asks, what can I get? Wisdom asks, what will this create? Celebrate integrity. When you resist the urge to take what's not yours, acknowledge it, not with pride, but with gratitude. You chose truth. Now let's connect this to ancient wisdom. In Buddhist teaching, the concept of upholding precepts isn't about being rigid. It's about preserving energy. Every broken precept is a leak. Every upheld precept is a seal. In Chinese philosophy, the idea of blessing energy is seen as delicate and fluid, flows to the righteous, retreats from the cunning. In Taoist thought, the Tao flows through those who are empty and not those who are crafty. In essence, when you stop being clever, you start being clean. And when your energy is clean, life opens like a lotus. Let's close with a reflection. Where in your life have you chosen gain over godness? Where have you called yourself smart when deep down you knew you were slipping? This isn't about saying, it's about waking up. Because every moment is a new opportunity to realign. The reward? Peace. Real, stable, quiet peace. Not the thrill of temporary gain, but the dignity of living in truth. So we invite you now, share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever made a small dishonest choice and felt the consequences later? Have you ever chosen integrity and been surprised by the blessings that followed? We'd love to hear your story. And if this message moved you, please like, subscribe, and support this channel. Your support helps us spread wisdom, one heart at a time. Greed shrinks the soul. Truth expands it. Let go of what isn't yours and receive what truly is.